this chart. This is a 16 bar form, son. In this very track, Paul David's original track, there's a transition from a G sus to a C major. This is a great opportunity to use chromatic approach, right? There's that G sus, right? There's my evil note. And once we understand how to do this right here in this video, my mentor, Lenny freaking bro, kid, you'll have the keys to the kingdom. All right, so we're skipping ahead to where it gets good because all of this stuff in the middle here is like the same shit you've already heard a million times and you're wondering why it doesn't work when you do what they're talking about. Now, before we get into that, I gotta read some of these comments, dude. This is what I'm talking about. We got some good, important concepts. I definitely won't be able to read them all. But first, you gotta have Neil, dude. Professor Heaton, right here. It's borderline irresponsible to use a backing track with a 3 major chord and not address it. What a missed opportunity to explain how that major 3 to major 4 motion can be approached as a deceptive cadence. Instead, the advice just to think of A minor pentatonic is a shortcut to big fat G naturals and A's over E major, which is the exact amateurish out of context approach that most viewers are hoping to move past. It's junior high advice, not a pearl of wisdom you get from the players you most admire. It is worth noting that in his initial demonstration, Matteo doesn't nail the 3 chord either. If you took the track away, his playing would still be nice and musical, but it wouldn't give you any information about the chords he's purportedly playing over. I get there are different schools of thought. There are some who think it's corny to outline every chord every time. Interesting. And that's not what I'm recommending, but it's about achieving a balance and being aware of the harmony you are placing melodies upon and teaching the students to notice these things. That's all it is. I mean, dude, you could not even say it better in my own words, dude. Like, thank God, Professor Heaton, OG legend of Systems for Creation, dude. This guy goes as like pre-Systems for Creation, dude. This guy is like, goes way, you don't even understand. Like, you could, it's all laid out there. There's public records of all the things. You could go figure out your homework, figure out who Professor Heaton is. All right. Okay, here's the other big one. The OG legend, Bob Thompson, been referenced in multiple of my videos. This guy showed me fat shapes. This guy's the direct descendant of Lenny Bro, direct student of Lenny Bro, okay? Let's listen to what this guy has to say. Bob Thompson, okay? Greatest teacher in North America, I would argue. I'd go for it. I like to speak in these big, grand, but like, yeah, Bob, hacker, brain hacker. That's what we do. This is our lineage. Studied with Lenny Bro. Another issue that bears stating in regards to teaching that is missed or ignored by so many instructors is the importance of understanding how each student absorbs information and identifying both psychological blockages and strengths in order to exploit them to enhance and positively solidify the learning process. You know what he's talking about, right? Every student deserves individualized attention times 100. No cookie cutter lesson bullshit. Spewing technical jargon without a clear connection to a student's cognitive abilities and motivational impetus ends up being a useless exercise, absolutely detrimental to a student's progress. Understanding cognitive patterns. Teaching is far more than data transfer. It's ensuring that a student is motivated, excited, positive, unafraid, emotive, responsive, and passionate about the music. As Blake accurately says, There is a lot of bullshit out there in the guitar instruction arena. Anyone can hang out a shingle. I love that one. Anyone can hang out a shingle and call themselves a professional instructor. That's the problem, right? Oh, I play gigs. I better start teaching. The thing is, there is a huge difference between being a killer player and a killer instructor. Two completely different crafts. Becoming a killer instructor requires the same massive investment in time, awareness, and energy to refine those skill sets as it does to be a player. Some of the best players I know, and I know a lot of them, are not proficient teachers, and most would agree with that premise, thankfully. And yeah, there are also those who should never sit with even one student, ever. But also, there are definitely plenty of great instructors out there as well, he's saying, who are also players. My mentor, Lenny freaking Bro Kid, was both an insanely skilled world-class guitarist and an incredible instructor. Man, was I lucky. Beyond the amazing guitar insights he exposed me to, his pedagogical influences gave me deep insights into how to teach. And it has served me well for 44 freaking years. I hope all of you can have the same good fortune I did, hooking up with instructors whose teaching and interpersonal relationship skills make it happen in the best possible way. He's done ranting. Carry on, Blake. Hope all is well with you. Headed to Montreal in August. Let's get some beer. Yeah, I still drink beer on occasion. Oh, I'm not not drinking beer. And with that, enjoy the rest of the video, and this one goes way beyond what you could possibly be expecting. Because what they're talking about is more or less gibberish. Like, oh, here's some little tricks for you. It's like, right, here's the parallel you got to imagine, right? This would be like if you were in a foreign country and somebody was trying to teach you their language by just speaking to you in normal, everyday language, where they're just speaking to you the same way they speak to their best friend. Now, you'll eventually understand them. You will. It will take probably 6 months, and that means you're completely immersed and you're with that person all the time. This is not enough time for you to understand what they're talking about. Like, he's talking about arpeggios of the scale, talk about thirds and sixths. None of it has anything to do with the chord changes. None of it. But that's all that matters. So guess what? They actually get to the part of the video where they talk about freaking chord changes, right? The paradigm of this whole operation, the backing track, but even deeper than the backing track, just the basic harmonic sequence that you don't need a backing track to play and work with. In fact, the backing track is the crutch that gets him just play his licks. He's just playing licks. He's not even taking any responsibility for the chord progression. But finally now, Paul Davis is going to ask the right freaking question, and he's going to say, wait, there's an outside chord, right? Here we go. Let's listen to what they say.
But there's one thing though, because in this backing track, there are notes outside of the scale of C major. Yeah. For example, to everyone watching, the first chord is C major, and the second chord is an E7.
Yeah. Thank you!
So there's a G
Finally!
sharp. And that note is not in the C major scale. So how would you approach, how would you call a chord like that? An outside chord?
Well, it's for sure a chord outside the realm of C major. So what I'm trying to do is to visualize the scale of relation in the closest way I can. So if I'm here, for example...
Let me translate. I'm going to voice lead the first chord to the second chord, like this. That's all he's trying to communicate. And I'm giving him credit for at least trying to communicate it, but watch it, this big tangent that he goes on. This is just for fun. This is just funny right now. Watch how funny this is.
And I know my E major, E7 here. I don't want to go immediately there.
No, yeah.
And I don't even want to go here, because I see a lot of people improvising, and maybe they are doing a phrase here. And then they...
You lost me, bro!
No, but it doesn't make sense because it's something that is not related
to your first phrase.
To your first phrase, it needs to be something closer, similar. So because we are building something, So
I think the most important thing is that the chord underneath shouldn't break your lyric.
Oh my god, dude! They just completely whiffed on that one. Slow pitch softball. Oh, this is tough, right? Good for them though. They're going all in. Like they're just ruthless. They're like, no, we're doing the science of the cutting edge. Here's a fact. This concept of outside chords that they're talking about, it's the fundamental principle, right? But they're kind of not presenting it that way, and that is why no one even understands it, because by stage 4, you're 24 minutes in the video, everyone's already lost their mind on scale patterns, right? And they've also lost their mind on just trying to sound like Matteo Mancuso without ever thinking about like first principles of music. Like this is just a very convoluted way of finally getting to the point of musical proficiency. It's dealing with what they're calling outside chords. The whole framing of this makes no sense. But what they're calling outside chords are just the changes, and that's the main thing. Right? But finally, they're bringing it up after talking about pentatonics and this and the other thing. And what Matteo just said was definitely exactly on point, but then they kind of like lost the tangent. They're bringing in this realm of like, they want to keep the phrase continuous. That's a great way of saying you want a voice lead. Something like this, a continuous phrase might be, right? That kind of thing. Like I played 2 different chords with one lick or one phrase, right? That's a great point. But you would just think about your voice leading 1 chord in the bottom range, connecting to the next chord, and then continue in the same direction, right? This is how melodies start to become automatically generated that way, right? You have kind of a basic goal of like, okay, I'm gonna keep ascending through the range here, but I'm gonna voice lead to whatever note makes logical sense based on the register that I'm in.
Yeah,
Phrase.
yeah. It needs to be always a flow. You don't need, you need to dictate the chord what you are playing, not the opposite thing, like the chord that dictates you what you are playing, you know?
Oh wait, here's the E7. I know their pitch.
Yeah. This is the thing I always want to avoid. So whenever I have like a chord progression that I want to, study a little bit, I always start with visualizing the chord in the closest way I can. So if I have like C major and E7, the closest E7 I have is this one.
So he's thinking like this.
And I immediately have
he's thinking that one.
This note, the major
Close.
third.
I mean, it's correct.
And then I have I have this like F minor.
Nice, dude. I mean, the guy knows all this shit, that's for sure. But he's now getting deep into the realities of the crevices. He's like, oh yeah, I'm just talking about some F minor. It's like, dude, this is the 4 minor chord. It's like the most important chord ever. Like, don't just gloss over this.
Don't jump too much on the fretboard. So
Back to
the
voice
vocabulary will sound a little bit more in line. And a scale that I think about when I have this E7, it's of course A harmonic minor, for example. In order to play the A harmonic minor,
going
a lot of people
in the wrong direction now, right? You can't play A harmonic minor over E7. You can play the 5th mode of A harmonic minor over E7. Better yet, you just play an E major triad with a flat 9. That'll cover you, right? Right, I'm playing the changes. I'm not playing over. Actually, that would probably kind of work because of where I resolved it. Like, I couldn't help it, but I would never start like it's A harmonic minor. I would start like it's right, just the biggest E7 sound I could do. And of course, voice leading coming from that C. Right, that's what he means to, he's like, yeah, like I changed my fretboard visualization to A harmonic minor. But the real information there is that he's just playing an E7, and that's how he thinks about playing E7. He thinks about playing it from A harmonic minor, which is not very helpful if you're not seeing it from the perspective of it's resonating against the E, right? Play the chord change of the E. Yeah, the notes align with A harmonic minor. He's specifically thinking, right, with that flat 9, that's why he likes it there, right?
Starting always from. But because you are here, you need to be able to visualize it here, you know? And that's when the 3 octave stuff comes to help, because if you know this.
What? Is he not starting on A right there? He's starting Dude, like, you guys know what I'm saying. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he just showed it. This is E7. This is E7. That's E7. Anyone see something wrong with that? Including him. Oh, man, dude. It's like almost half correct. He's not a teacher, man. He doesn't claim to be a teacher, but Paul Davids does, so. This is weird, dude.
It's the same thing, you know? So you are able to like connect the thing a little bit better. So you have C major scale.
Now it's good. That's
You
good.
immediately hear the chord.
I didn't make like a jump or, you know? So you need to visualize like all the scales from the chord progression, but just in one place. And then when you have this place got down, like I feel very comfortable in this place, move maybe here. Then when you have this place got down, you move here, or maybe you move. And when you have all the position got down, that means that you know very well your chord progression.
You know the neck. Yeah. Wow. How does it sound on the backing track? Want to give it a try?
Let's give it a try. Let's listen.
Missing the deadline
come
is not on
on.
you. It's the broken system that you're stuck in. But sticking to that part's your choice.
Yo,
you really
that's
think by
true.
now
Don't
that
stick
we've
to your
evolved
broken
past
system,
to-do
dude.
lists. A simple
You
list
got a
that tells
broken
you
system?
what's next.
Don't keep using it. I just noticed something. Yeah, what I noticed was that I really liked everything that he played up until he started playing the scales. When he was playing the arpeggios, like when he was playing the chord tones and like bending into the chord tones, that was like literally tapping into the zeitgeist of eternity, you know? But then he just starts playing scales and it just taps into like the downside, dude. Like, just like, dude, that's like, I can't, we're in 2025. We can't listen to that anymore. We could have listened to that in 2001. I think people were getting bored by it then, though. But even he knows, like, you know, if he reacted to meta, if he reacted to his own playing here, he'd probably agree with me. I think like most people would. I think, of course, it's much more interesting when he's playing like these like more lyrical chord tone based melodic phrases. As opposed to like literally scales. That's pretty much, I think this is all we need to talk about here. He's going to talk about chromatic. He's going to talk wrong notes. Wrong notes are just the notes that you're using to approach notes in the triad. In this very track, Paul David's original track, there's a transition from a G sus to a C major. This is a great opportunity to use chromatic approach, right? So what I'm going to do in this example is I'm going to approach the third degree of the C, departing from the fifth degree of the G. There's that G sus, right? There's my evil note. You could hear exactly when I switched over from the G sus to the C major, right? And you could hear how I was just targeting a note, right? I knew where I was going, so I could take all kinds of different paths to get there. Now, this is not just chromatic approach. This is more fundamental than this. This is just voice leading, right? Chromatic approach and voice leading go hand in hand, so there's a deeper thing to consider. And guess what? We're going to be able to consider all of it in this Paul Davids track right here. We've got it. Now, look at this chart. This is a 16-bar form, son. Okay, think about it. This is a nice form. This is awesome. Okay, for practice, dynamite form. So then it's just even more cosmically hilarious that they don't even talk about this form and the nuance of it. It's just a cosmic joke is what I've determined at this point as to why they don't explain the beauty and nuance of this form. Through practice, we're going to understand the beauty and nuance of the form. Now, we're going to play it without a track, without a click. Right now, I'm using the delay. Think about that. You know what I'm saying? I've said this before. Wow. I'm gonna be hard pressed to leave that take in this video. The problem is that a lot of you watching this, the vast majority unfortunately, don't have the attention span to do that currently. And that's why this is a hard form. And to really understand this form, it takes a high level of concentration to be able to play that form with the precision that it deserves to get the effect of the form, right? To get the effect of that form. What do I mean by the effect of the form? The natural dynamic of that 16 bar progression. That 4 minor chord, you see where it's placed? Look at where it is in the form. It's at the penultimate part of the form. You know what I'm saying? Look at that spot. Think about like basic first principles of reality. That spot in the form, that's the 4 minor. You know what the 4 minor is? It's this. You know how you can go 4 major to 4 minor, back to 1? That's what that song is. It's doing that right at the sweet spot. You could make the argument, because I've done all kinds of chord change harmonic analysis. This form right here, that's one of the best ones I've ever seen. Seriously, like that's another part of the cosmic joke. Cosmic joke season, dude. Like this form is gold, right? So what you want to be able to do is concentrate on keeping the form. So if you make a mistake, don't lose the form. There's no mistakes if you don't lose the form. Unaccompanied practice is how you achieve the discipline of focus required to reach mastery. And you see how I'm coming at it from a jazz mentality? And now what I realize, jazz mentality compared to Paul David's mentality and mainstream whatever mentality is that I just look at the form and I know instantly to just play the form. Don't mess up the form! And as long as I don't mess up the form, everything I play is gonna rock to the universe, right? So here's the fact. Matteo Mancuso is just a natural born master, right? That his touch, everything. He's just like, you know, biologically programmed to be a great guitarist. This is what that means. He doesn't really need to play the changes, dude. He can just play pentatonic licks and everyone's like, oh my! Like they literally can't even me. Like he just has to play notes and it instantly sounds perfect. Now for 96.3% of other people, you're gonna have to probably rely on the triads a little bit more, dude. You might not be biologically programmed to do what Matteo Mancuso does. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to learn the first principles. And honestly, if you have the skills of Matteo Mancuso and you master first principles, well then guess what? You get to be better than Matteo Mancuso. Now, no, I went too far. I went too far. Now, to try to develop the language beyond just these like, what are these Eric Johnson triad things? I would start to isolate things. And I would first isolate the F minor. I would isolate the 4 minor transition. That is the dynamite shot of this entire thing. So let's just get that one. And once we understand how to do this right here in this video, you'll have the keys to the kingdom. I'm just doing Turbo Booster. You guys know if you've been watching, links in the description to all the best lessons of all time. But I'm just drawing from the Turbo Booster 3-step method, isolating on this 4 minor, right? And I just showed it to you a second ago. Check it. Right to this. Right? Now let's take the whole 4-bar sequence. What we can do is we can isolate this whole 4-bar sequence, right? That's gonna be way easier to manage than the entire 16-bar sequence. That's just extremely difficult, not just for beginners and intermediates and advanced. That's extremely difficult for actually anyone to do if they don't have the right mindset. That would be the key. If you have the right mindset, it actually becomes pretty easy because all the decisions are already made. So that's easy. That's when you're channeling. When you're channeling, you're not even doing anything. All right, so I'd start out like, okay, let's pick a C major open first inversion because I'm going to keep up with the Eric Johnson vibes. Right, start right there, right? Then ask myself, how does that go to the next chord in the progression, the E? Well, the G can go to G sharp, the C can go to B, and the E can stay the same. So this becomes this, right? And keep voice leading by the same logic. It's inevitable, you know it. Right? And now go to the 4 minor. See, I'm just voice leading within that. Right? Now let me isolate it. All right, so what have we learned? Form is the only thing that we need to understand when we're learning music at the first level. That's the only thing we need to understand at the first level. So they're talking about 5 levels. They only need to talk about level 1. All you have to do is understand triads on level 1. That's simple. Think about form. You can let your imagination run wild. The reason why I start people on really short forms is because of the concentration thing. Once you can concentrate on a short form, like the good old-fashioned practice form, because even when I just did right in that example, you know what I mean? Like, you can see how difficult it is to conceive of that on such a large form, where the beauty of the music is dependent on you just playing the form accurately, and now you see that level of concentration. And here's the thing. Obviously, I'm going to make a video about backing tracks and why that's literally heroin for musicians, but there's another heroin you got to watch out for. This one's not quite as bad, but it's reading music, dude. Do not get used to reading music. Memorize everything immediately. Immediately. Don't pretend like it's not possible. It takes a different kind of focus, a different kind of concentration. But you can get to a point where you can memorize things in 20 to 30 minutes. It's not that hard to figure out, man. It's all about reframing your mentality. Now, these Paul Davids guys have really messed up your mentality, so it seems so far-reaching what I'm talking about. But it's because you've been taking the wrong steps for so long. But the moment you start taking the right steps, everything instantly changes instantly. Instantly. That's what I've been able to accomplish with my guitar growth hacking method. Like I said, it's literal straight up alchemy. I think 2025 is prepared for guitar mastery alchemy. So if you want to get involved in that, links in the description, Systems for Creation. I know that thing has been evolving so much and you know it's going to change. So you probably want to get on that before the price keeps going up. You guys remember when it was 11 bucks a month? Remember that? Sorry, I couldn't serve the people at $11 per person. I work harder than that for each individual student of mine who comes into my school. I work my ass off. I give them everything. I provide this transformation for them. This is the future here. Like, you're Neo getting programmed by Tank. I'm Tank.